in such a way that I didn't lose track of what he had discovered. In other words, Wilhelm Reich wrote quite a number of books, and your ability to extract from those books the wisdom and the suffering, in a sense, that was put into them depends on getting them in a certain sequence. And you need to begin with the foundational book of Wilhelm Reich, which is The Function of the Orgasm, in which it's a 2-volume book, quite massive in its physical constitution. And from that you were able to proceed the rest of the way. If you got into one of Reich's books that was further down the line, you would not know really how it was that he got onto the things that he later embraced and developed.
You'd be off sequence and you'd be out of context.
Exactly, right out of context.
So that lends itself to tremendous distortion capability by the
exactly.
public.
And that's what's happened with Reich's work, is that it's still, distorted in a really complete way by the Orthodox people. They think that Wilhelm Reich was crazy. That's the psychiatric version of him. But he was anything but.
What was his ultimate discovery that lended itself so critical to the weather engineering techniques that you
he got to understand what the function of the orgasm was for the very first time in the history of man.
That there was a function to this?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes. That the orgasm had a function other than throwing out the sexual substances. Everybody knows that.
Can you tell us, what did Wilhelm Reich say with the function of the orgasm?
Function of the orgasm is to regulate the energy level of the entire body. Now, just a little while ago, we got to talking about the mystery that the animating energy is to our most profound people on Earth. I mean, they just don't know. If you say to them, why don't you have a project at UCLA to investigate where the energy comes from that we use? Because when we die, we don't have energy anymore. Where is it? Where does it come from? They can't answer you. They have no answer to it at all. Wilhelm Reich developed the knowledge of the energy itself, its characteristics, its accessibility to therapy and things like that. And he died in jail, and his books and papers were burned by the government.
Because I haven't read his work,
Mm-hmm.
and many of us probably haven't,
Mm-hmm.
who might be listening to this. Is he advocating that we should be having more orgasms, or was he pointing a direction in which that's how you isolate and understand what's animating us?
That's right.
Did I get that correctly?
That is correct. That's right. And the orgasm has as its function not the mere hurling out of the sexual substances, but the regulation of the energy level of the entire body. And this stabilizes it and facilitates the motions of the energy in the body. And this is the reason why so many of our basic individual ailments that we have in psychiatry, for example, they're all based on corrupted orgasmic cycles. They're just, people don't have orgasms in the right way.
That sounds, not to be disrespectful, but that could sound for some people listening very simplistic, if you know what I'm saying. And sometimes very complex things are.
That's right.
So I understand that part, but when you say people don't know how to have orgasms in the right way, did Reich talk about that?
Oh, yes, comprehensively. That's all in Function of the Orgasm and the other books he wrote. And he was considered to be one of the most brilliant of Freud's successors. He was first clinical assistant to Freud in Vienna, right after the First World War, when he was qualified at the University of Vienna. They all thought that he was a brilliant man. He used to make the whole room would fall silent when he walked in, that sort of thing. He was recognized as a brilliant individual. But then after he got into the meat of the orgasm, they said he was crazy, you see, because he was, right close to the truth of human functioning.
And sometimes even when somebody, a pioneer of any kind, in any way, is introducing something that is correct, that is true, that's factual, how they're perceived is based on the sign of the times too, and how advanced the consciousness is that occupies the society collectively.
Right.
So you can have, as many predecessors have come and gone and died with their work, you can have somebody who's introducing a frame of reference that the civilization at the time is either not ready for or not open to, and it was just, they got it, and they discovered it, and they communicated it, and they had to go to the grave with it.
That's right. That's
And-
right. That's
and
what
he's
Wilhelm
one of
Reich
them.
did.
I guess my question, and then I want to go on, but about, because this is a key part of the orgone energy, is a key part of your weather engineering access. Does one have to have orgasm or orgasms to access orgone energy?
No, not
Okay.
at all.
It
No,
was
no
just
more than
he-
you have to do. Have to have orgasms to access electricity. You access it through geometry. It works for everybody, but they just, they don't accept it.
So when one is having orgasm, one is accessing a cosmic energy
That's
of
right.
this sort that's already in place.
That's right.
Okay, that's what I'm trying
That's
to
right.
understand.
That's right.
Okay, very good. And the work of Rudolf Steiner, I really feel like as we proceed into introducing to the public how you literally make rain, how this is scientifically set up, we just lend some respect to Dr. Steiner.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about the most critical aspects of his work that have moved you and empowered you to deliver rain.
Yeah, well, Dr. Steiner was, first of all, a PhD from the University of Rostock and was fully formally educated in heat, light, and sound and all the conventional physical things, so that he understood fully the status of physics in his own time. And he was also a natural clairvoyant, a man with a natural ability to see beyond the physical and with the ability to translate that into doctrines and teachings that people who were studious could master and utilize. He gave over 10,000 lectures in Europe in his own lifetime and was considered to be one of the brightest men that had ever lived at that time. He laid out in his lectures the relationship between the physical body and the etheric body, which is something you can't see, the ether body, which is inside the physical body and which animates it. That's the source of the animation of the human body, is the etheric body. That conveys the vitality to the physical structure. And Steiner elaborated all this in just thousands of lectures to all manner of people, ranging from university professors all the way down to the workmen who were working on the building that he had in Switzerland, in Dornach. So he dealt with all these things in comprehensive fashion and in great detail. And I don't think there's an individual living that can pick up a Steiner book and not be astonished at what he finds in it, no matter what aspect of Steiner's work he picks on, because he was truly a universal genius. And in my case, I got onto a book whose content he approved before his death in 1925. And this was a book called The Etheric Formative Forces in the Cosmos, Earth, and Man. And it was written by Dr. Wachsmuth. He was a lawyer who was Steiner's secretary for the last 20 years of Steiner's life. And Dr. Wachsmuth laid out for us the complete plan of the way the ethers work in the life of the Earth, with sketches and drawings and everything else of the way they functioned. This made it possible for me to come along and get Dr. Wachsmuth's book and to prove out that these flows of etheric force did exist in the life of the Earth, to tap into them and to cause them to accumulate so that they would draw water to themselves and it would rain. That is really, in a nutshell and on a thumbnail, how Steiner influenced me.
That's a big load.
Mm-hmm,
That's a very, very big load. You pushed a very big button here. So let me reiterate what I think I just heard and what the public is probably trying to chew on right now. See, you people thought gum was a problem. We just stuck a big wide in your mouth.